I don't know if I've mentioned this in the few years that I have been doing the channel and wearing this nice green Luffy shirt. I'm actually Irish. That is part of my heritage. I think I'm about a quarter Irish on my mother's father's side. Well, that's not important. What I did want to say is it's a fun fact. Today, as of recording this video, is St. Patrick's Day, and then tomorrow, when you're watching this, it will not be. But a happy St. Patrick's Day to those who celebrate it. But let's get into the actual video itself. Hello, Internet. I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1110, Starfall. And we are one chapter away from 1111 as a chapter title number, so that's pretty cool. The artwork for this week is our new cover story, which is a kind of a mouthful. It is Ogre Child Yamato's Golden Harvest Surrogate Pilgrimage. Yeah. Well, it looks like Yamato and Momonosuke are going to go visit every single shrine across Wano together on a little buddy-buddy road trip because, just like she said, Yamato wants to live life the way Odin did. And one of the first things Odin did was live in Wano and travel across Wano and see all of Wano because Odin lived in Wano. So Yamato's going to go across. We'll probably get little updates on all the people that the Straw Hat crew, interacted with during their time on Wano. And who knows, maybe they'll set out to sea as a little group. Once Yamato finishes visiting all the important spots in Wano, whatever trouble comes, because Aramaki finished off King and Queen, but did Aramaki really kill King and Queen? Did Aramaki, do anything with Kaido's crew? Or is Udon Prison just full of a bunch of Animal Kingdom pirates who want to seek revenge, perhaps? We might even get an epic clash. See, the cover stories recently haven't just been meanwhile a couple weeks ago. It usually ends, well, not, I say usually, but it's only happened once so far. The last cover story we had ended like now. Like immediately as the chapters we're reading happens, that cover story comes to a close. So if Yamato, Momonosuke, and Kinemon set out to sea to go hang out with Luffy, we might actually run into them at Elbaf, or maybe an alternate path. They might actually have followed Law's path, or Eustace, or, well, I guess Eustace would lead them to Elbaf. If they followed Law's path, they might run into Beppo. We might get like this weird hodgepodge of Heart Pirate, Straw Hat crew, ally crew that is sailing the seas together to try and figure something out. Whew, I have been putting it off long enough. Let's talk about the latest chapter, which starts with Black Lightning striking Egghead Island as the Marines looking on and a couple other individuals all kind of just saying the same thing. This looks like what happened when big old spider guy showed up on the island. As our enemy giant spider monster god thing stands there, eyes wide and ready to kill, 4 vicious figures all appear alongside him. I do want to point out that we do get a brief cut to Maryjois, and we see this summoning circle inside the Room of Authority. There's only one. So, even though all 4 of them got their own entrance portals, it seems they can all jump into the same one to do their teleport. So I don't know if, well... So, Saturn was on a boat when he teleported himself. So maybe they can do their own short-range teleport, but in order to teleport long distances, one of them has to physically be there to call the others. Whatever the reason, we're faced with all 4, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think we'd get to see this soon. All 5 elders together. I did take a writing down here. Saturn is the Gyuki, which was a theory a lot of people had. The yokai with a spider body and a bull's head, and he's labeled as the Gyuki, not as the spider fruit mythical Gyuki model or anything. He's just listed as the Gyuki, Saint Saturn. Then we have Mars, who is the Itsumade, Warcury, who is the Fenzi, I believe it's pronounced. Venus Juro is the Bakotsu, and then Jupiter is the Sandworm. Together, they show off their beast forms if they are zone type Devil Fruit users. We still don't have a confirmation. They have the Awakening Cloud like Luffy has. They have a beast form, and we've seen Saturn in a hybrid form. We now see him currently in his beast form. So we know they exude mythical zone-like powers, but until Oda flat out says it, there's always the theory that they are just an extension of Eam, or their powers were given to them by Eam, who has like a nightmare fruit or something. But they're here now, and all 5 of them are standing before Luffy. Even Luffy's like, oh my gosh, there's 5 of these giant monsters? And they waste no time. They literally split off from each other quickly to handle the situations. We got, let me take a look. Venus shoots around. He's a giant horse, and I guess his hybrid form is like a centaur. He takes out his sword, and he freezes the pacifistas. He just slices through them and freezes up their circuitry to kind of paralyze them in place, which is great for both budgeting and combat. Like, he took out his enemies in a single hit, but he didn't damage any of the parts, so we can, reprogram and use them as we need. So, way to go. Very, very efficient. What's interesting is how this is very similar to Brook's ability. I'm not going to call like, oh, Brook's going to 1v1 one of the 5 elders, but it is a touch of the underworld. I believe the Bakotsu, I'm going to butcher these names until somebody pronounces them correctly for me, but is a horse that was burned to death, or at least what remains of it. I believe it's a yokai. So the fact that he has underworld coldness to him, I wouldn't be shocked if he has fire abilities as well. So he's freezing all the stuff, and while he's doing that, Mars, as the Itsumade, is flying up towards the dome and is just ramming himself into it to try and break it open. Obviously, because of their immunity to life-threatening attacks, they don't seem that afraid of getting damaged by the dome's defenses. So Egghead is in a lot of trouble, if you couldn't tell already. Finally, we see the giant sandworm that is Jupiter sort of burrow himself underground as Luffy's just like, whoa, what is that guy doing? Meanwhile, Jinbei finally catches up to Zoro, and he calls the rest of the crew. He's like, attention, every other member of the Straw Hat crew. Zoro is still engaged with Rob Lucci, and I guess Zoro's also on the intercom system, because he can hear all this too. And the rest of the crew's like, well, what's he doing? And Lucci's like, it seems like I've stalled you long enough. Really upset your crew here. And even one of Zoro's swords gets knocked away from him as he's fighting against Lucci. Zoro is not looking good. He is tired. He is beaten. He is still recovering from his wounds against King, at least in my opinion. But sometimes you just need the right motivation. You just need that one you can do it from just the right friend. And who else but to give Zoro the great words of encouragement as his all-time best friend, Sanji. So while Jinbei is reporting this to the rest of the crew, Sanji says, really? He's still fighting the cat? What a waste of space. What a loser. What a dummy. What a fool. What a guy who's just dead weight. And as Zoro hears that, his eye twitches, and Zoro grabs his third sword, gets his swords together, and he just wallops Lucci in a single hit. So, I mean, Zoro even busts out the Conqueror's Haki. We see the shockwave come from him. So, good job, Sanji. Struck just the right nerve to get Zoro back up in there. And I gotta say, I think my theory's correct. I think Zoro's a lot more tired than he's letting on. The fact that he didn't immediately use his Conqueror's Haki, unless he saw Lucci as like a training exercise, or like a let's see how far I've come, or this is a good warm-up. Unless Zoro has like his own personal reason, I think he is not doing so well. I think we are going to face an issue with Zoro in Elbaf, where this might put Chopper's medicine to the test, because I think the fight with King did more than he wants the rest of the crew to know. And apparently more than Oda wants the audience to know, since he's keeping this a secret from all of us too. So, I bet you're all wondering the same thing I'm wondering. What was that sandworm doing burrowing into the ground? Well, Luffy finds out very quickly as he looks down and the ground beneath him shatters open as this huge sandworm just comes up to munch him and just... And that's it. Luffy got eaten. End of the story. It was a really sad ending. I really didn't expect One Piece to end so quickly. But, that's it. C'est la vie. What are you gonna do? No, of course that didn't happen. What would you think of Oda if that happened? I'd be very upset with Oda if that happened. No. Oda used this as a great way to do another callback. Egghead, full of callbacks. We got Saul. We got Luffy and Lucci's punches meeting in the middle. We got that one time the entire Straw Hat crew got traumatized by a big bear man going and knocking them all to the other sides of the world. Wow, they went through a lot, those guys. That poor Straw Hat crew. Anyways, no. This was another callback. As a giant worm has Luffy eaten while sailing upwards, we think back to a long time ago. And I mean a long time ago. I mean really long time ago. We're talking like, I think chapter like in the mid-hundreds. I think this was before Drum Island. We didn't even have Chopper yet. When a Brachiosaurus was having a little rubber man playing on him, and he sort of went whoop, and he just ate Luffy. Meanwhile, a giant was passing by, and he lopped off the head of that Brachiosaurus because he was just looking for dinner. And boy, was that giant, whose name was Dory, he was very shocked to find a little rubber man popping out of the neck of that Brachiosaur. And he was like, oh, what are you doing inside my dinner? Were you my dinner's dinner? That's kind of weird. I can't eat you. You're my dinner's dinner. Well, what would that say about me? I'm not going to eat my dinner's dinner. Anyways, what's your name? And that's how Luffy met Dory, and Usopp met Broggy, and we met those giants, and they're on this island, and they slash Jupiter's little sandworm form in twain, as both of them are just like, the darkness is no place for a child of the sun, as they slash him open. Luffy comes popping out. Luffy's like, whoa, was not expecting you guys here. Honestly, Luffy, neither was I. No one was expecting that. No one's expecting anything that's happening lately. But yeah, the chapter ends with the three of them smiling together as Jupiter is sliced to bits. Now, we know that the elders can come back from fatal wounds. We saw Saturn with the whole regenerating his hand. I also want to mention Warcury didn't do anything this chapter. The big giant pig just kind of sat there. He sort of just showed up, and he's just been watching everything go on. I don't know, maybe he's the comic relief of the group. I mean, one of them's got to be the funny guy, right? They can't all be serious monsters who dominate the world with an iron fist. Oh, Luffy, you have so much levity you have to bring to the situation. So yeah, that's where the chapter ends. Big spider guy's gonna do some stomping. I bet the boar's gonna do some stomping. I wouldn't be shocked if the giant bird even did some stomping. Stomping seems to be a go-to technique here. Except the sandworm, no feet with which to stomp. So let me know your stomp-related comments down below. And who knows what's gonna happen next. We have all 5 elders. I really thought this was gonna happen later. I thought we were just gonna fight Saturn now. Maybe defeat him, maybe cause him to retreat. Definitely didn't think the other 4 elders were going to show up. And I don't think this is going to result in a defeat on either side. I think this is actually going to result in a retreat on both sides. Either the Straw Hat crew is going to get away, or the 5 elders are going to be called back by Eam because something more important's going on. Maybe Blackbeard's doing something crazy and the 5 elders have to go stop that. Or maybe it's too late. Maybe Vegapunk's message gets out and the 5 elders are now on damage control and they got to get away. They got to go back to Marijois to figure out what's going on because Vegapunk's message is about to drop. Where we are now 7 minutes away. In the 3 minutes that happened since last chapter, Vegapunk invented instant coffee. So that's cool. Little fun fact there. Instant coffee exists in the world of One Piece and Vegapunk knows how to make it. But that's it for this chapter. Thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the Hero of Julios, Xing out.